This is Garrett coming back with another episode of Produce Your Freedom, working on the strategies for dealing with strategic chaos series. The first portion was on physical fitness. So these are kind of the things we can do beforehand. We'll get into the things we can do during an awful, tragic, dangerous event in a bit. So today we're going to focus on awareness. You probably might notice, if you're being aware, that this is the exact same position and outfit and everything and lighting that happened in the last video. That's because I'm trying to rattle a few of these off. Maybe two today, and then we'll go from there. So awareness, what we're mostly going to focus on here. I've talked a little bit about improving your security in public through being aware in general of your surroundings. But we're going to kind of take a step back and take it more as an awareness and planning. So it's really just advanced planning given what we know about an environment. So if I'm going to a football stadium versus a movie theater versus a mall versus a convenience store, these are all different environments that have really different risks, but I'm not even going to focus there. It's just if you plan out kind of each of these situations, you don't have to prep yourself with, oh, what if there's a bank robber type thing, or oh, what if it's this, or oh, what if it's that. The end objective in a lot of these tragic situations is to remove yourself quickly if you're able to do so, and to help other people in the process. And hopefully to avoid them to begin with, of course, let's not forget that. So that goes into this advanced planning stuff. So what I try to do is work from the outside in of where I am going to be. While I'm at home, I might think, okay, I'm going to a movie theater, it's going to be dark, I should make sure I have my flashlight. And I could know that there are certain risks there that might be more prevalent than other places. I might take something else. I might take a tourniquet or something with me if I think that might be a good idea. But once we're kind of pulling into that parking lot and conceptualizing and trying to be aware from that point forward, we work from the outside in. So the first thing is where we park. I don't have any particular place that I care about where I park. I sometimes park really far away. Whatever's open, I don't mind walking up to the building. The one thing about parking that we want to keep in mind probably is lighting and just where we are. There's a lot of times we forget where we parked, and the idea is that we want to minimize that. So if something bad happens, even if it's a somewhat common incident, someone has an allergic reaction or a heart attack or something like that, we're just trying to get that person to medical care, to a hospital, maybe the EpiPen's in the car. It helps to know exactly where that vehicle is. So what I generally do is I pull into the parking space, I look at the building, look at the main entrance I'm going to go into, and then I count the number of rows over from that entrance that I am. In other words, if I'm staring straight at the Walmart building this way, and the door is over on this side, my right, and I'm parked, I will go, okay, I'm at the absolute rightmost door, and then I'm 2 to the right of that. If I were to the left of the doors, I would do the opposite, and if I'm anywhere in the middle of those 2 doors, I'd say, okay, right door, maybe go in 3, or left door, go in 2, kind of thing. So that helps a lot just in terms of being able to get to a vehicle, get out quickly if you need to be able to do that. Then just a general idea of where in the row you are. If you're getting the right row, you're doing pretty well already. You'll probably notice your car as you're going down it, but it helps know from all the way at the end or halfway down, so in a moment of panic you don't think, oh crap, did I miss it? Now I gotta turn around and check the ones behind me. Alright, so that's the parking lot, pretty straightforward. Then keep in mind what entrance you go in, and then where your destination is within that. So if you're going to a mall, you probably have a specific store maybe that you want to have in mind, and as you're kind of going, maybe you go to 5 different stores, but as you're going to each one, you want to kind of try and be aware of what your route back to your vehicle would be through the main entrance, and then if you see an emergency exit and you want to think about how you do it that way too, that's fine. A big area would be in a mall, just remembering what end of the mall by store name would also help, right? I pictured where I am in relation to the entrance, I better know what store end. Otherwise I'm going to not find my car anyways. But a movie theater usually splits off. There's screens 1 through 6 on one side, 7 through 12 on the other, or whatever. Keep in mind which side your car is on and which side you're on. That could be very helpful. Then once we're within the space that we're trying to get to, so the specific store or that specific area of the theater or whatever, what we're going to look for is all the entrances and exits including windows, and we're going to position ourselves with regard to that. You see a lot of people like to sit with their back to walls, to corners, and where they can see the exit clearly. A lot of people do that. It makes sense because if something bad is going to happen, a lot of people are going to be breaking for that exit, and if someone comes in trying to do something bad, they're going to be coming through that exit. So you kind of have a pretty good idea of where people are coming from and where everyone's trying to book it to. And you can kind of see how the situation is progressing towards that, which can be really important. You might not stand a chance of getting out that way. You might have to look at something else. So don't forget that windows are exits. Very few windows are really, really, really shatter resistant. Higher windows in tall buildings probably are, and secure buildings may have some sort of really good protective glass, but a lot of windows aren't so durable. So any big heavy blunt object like a fire extinguisher or the right kind of metal chair or stool or something like that could be used to break out a window. A window is always an exit. There's also usually an exit behind wherever the staff of that establishment is. So in a convenience store, there's some little employees only bathroom or corridor back there a lot of times. There's probably an exit out there that they use to take out the trash. If you look for the dumpster, you'll probably kind of have a general idea where an exit might be. You can also just look for the door. In malls, this is important to know. In malls, the backs of pretty much every store have an entrance or exit. Even in a lot of the little stores that aren't end stores, if you kind of see a door going to the back, they frequently have a fire exit there that kind of links across the entire back of all those tiny stores. So you go back through that employee door, less people will be going back there, hopefully, if you have to. And then they usually connect all together at one point to a stairwell, to an outside door or something like that. So that's also something to keep in mind. Know where your entrances and exits are. So now I kind of have a plan of where I'm sitting, what my closest exit is. Just like on the airplane, you're supposed to pay attention to. The closest one might be behind you, look around a little bit. Once we've established that, the last thing I would look for in terms of awareness in any situation to help me out would be just a quick glance for any tools or weapons. See if that fire extinguisher is near you. Right now people might be geared thinking about terrorism and shooting and stuff like that, but the boring stuff slightly more boring stuff happens a lot more often. Fires happen a lot more often. Earthquakes, if you're in an earthquake country, or things like that happen a lot more often. So look for the fire extinguisher. That's not a bad thing to look for either. It might be near you, and it can also serve as a weapon or an implement to knock out a window if you have to do that. So hopefully this gives you some ideas, and the overarching concept is that by having this awareness in place, it kind of ties into the physical preparation that I discussed last time. The idea is, if we're kind of aware of the fastest way out and how to deal with things, we'll know whether or not getting out is an easy option for us given the circumstances we're facing, and how quickly we can pull that off. Goes a long way towards being just one step ahead of the person next to you. Not that we don't want them to do well and be okay too, we do, and we want to help them if we can, but you kind of can only worry about your own reaction initially, right? You can't make someone else have this awareness, so you can have this awareness, and hopefully it helps the overall situation and someone else. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Try and practice some of this stuff the next time you go somewhere. Start with the parking the car thing. It's useful to you on a daily basis, and it will get you into that mindset. Remember, produce your freedom, or life will produce your chains.